Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. Tonight, we are recapping the week's nerdy news from Themyscira to Dakar and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me, as always, Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
A lot, Mike.
A lot. Steve, we did not. This is another Monday show. We've been doing a lot of Monday shows lately.
And a lot of Monday shows seem to have a holy shit ton of news.
And boy, am I happy, and our listeners and viewers should be happy that we waited until Monday to do this, because Sunday would have been a pretty dry show. Sunday would have been like, oh, lots more X-Men casting rumors that we won't find out about for months or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Hearsay. Oh, did James Gunn and Peter Safran give a whole update on their DC slate on Friday, and it went to publication today? So we have all this news about DC stuff to talk about? Yes, we do.
Yes, it did.
Very glad that we are that we waited until Monday. Oh, by the way, before we started recording, I was supposed to talk to you about next week, because I don't know when a good day for me next week is, because I can't do Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. So it might be an early show. Maybe we could do a Saturday. I don't know. We'll talk about it. I'm just throwing it out there so our listeners are aware. Next week might be a little off.
Next week will be up in arms. I don't know if that's the term, but we'll go with it.
Up in arms, down in flames. Up in smoke, down in shames, as the old saying goes.
This is why Mike writes lyrics.
Yeah.
There's your last February song right there.
Yeah, hey, if you want to hear more great lyrics like that, stick around for my upcoming announcement of my February album, my 10th annual February album.
Not including any bassoon.
Early March. No, man, like I said before we started, I really try to come up with a bassoon part. You know what? I could probably just pick a song and be like, can you play these 3 bassoon notes in this song, please? And make it work. You know what? Maybe I'll still do that.
There
so
you
Steve,
go.
Keep an eye on your phone. I might text you.
Just
please send me an audio recording.
Have an
these
epiphany.
3 notes.
Oh, God.
This show that you're listening to or watching, one of those 2 things. I don't think there's another way you can experience this show, right? You just either listen to it or you can't smell your way through it.
Hey, I'm not one to judge.
You try.
Whatever. I'm not sensist in any way. Whatever you do, however you consume this, feel free.
This show is sensist against people that consume their media through taste. Sorry. That would be really strange.
It would be.
Really strange. If you had...
Well, that story tasted delicious.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, what does Batman taste like? I don't know. Weird. Probably a little, sweaty.
Don't think I want to know.
I don't think I want to know. Yeah.
I spent too much time in football gear and old locker rooms to want to know what that smells like.
Sweaty.
Yeah, just downright nasty.
Yeah. Anyway, for the amount of stuff we have to talk about in the show, we're taking way too long up front. But we still haven't even said that this show that you're listening to and or watching, which is what I started to say for the whole census thing, is sponsored by Funky Town Comics and Vinyl in Camillus, New York. Check them out. A lot of cool stuff going on down there. Always.
I was going to say check them out now, but now is not the time. It's 9:51 on a Monday. They are closed.
Currently closed.
So check them out tomorrow. If you really need to get your fix in, no, it's not going to work. I was going to try and plug our Patreon off of that, but hey, we have a Patreon.
Yeah. You can get our fix of us in if this isn't enough for you. Sign up for our Patreon. But you can't get a Funky Town Comics fix from our Patreon yet. Who knows?
I was going to say, bonus content?
Future. Things we keep talking about and never doing? Yep. Goes in that list.
Absolutely.
Anyway, as previously mentioned, we have a big show. We have a ton of DC stuff. And it's not really, it's maybe a couple new things or confirmed rumored things. But mostly just kind of updates on where they are with other stuff. which is something I've wanted to hear for a very long time. But before we get to that, something equally as exciting
Yes.
for the little Star Wars nerd in all of us. Today, another thing that we wouldn't have talked about if we had done the show yesterday.
The
Like
the
normal.
little Star Wars nerd. As I'm sitting here in this shirt, looking at an X-wing, a TIE Interceptor, R2 back there. Yeah, little Star Wars nerd.
Yeah. I was just, I'm looking at a life-size Babu Frick I got over there. I got
Yeah,
a whole
exactly.
shelf of the Star Wars stuff. I got lightsabers galore hanging on every wall. Little Star Wars fan in me was very happy today to see the official trailer for Andor Season 2 came out today. You and our friend Matt Beseda texted me about it to tell me that it happened, and I didn't watch it for hours. I only watched it. All of this stuff that we're about to talk about tonight, I have not had 2 seconds to process because I found out about it or watched it as I was writing the rundown tonight. So I hadn't watched Andor Season 2 trailer until right before I wrote it on the rundown.
Yep.
And I was literally reading all the DC news for the
As
first
you were
time.
reading
I wasn't on social media today at all. I wasn't looking at anything, so I had no idea any of this stuff happened until it was time for me to prepare for the podcast.
Right.
So, I don't know how I feel about any of it still, but we're going to jump into the Andor Season 2 trailer. I have watched it twice. It's my most anticipated Star Wars show for quite some time.
Yeah.
The Season 1 is my favorite live-action Star Wars series and might be my favorite Star Wars series overall. The only one that can really come close is Rebels, I think.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm probably going to rewatch it before Season 2 comes out, so maybe I can give you a better ranking.
I think I'm going to try and convince my wife to watch it before Season 2 comes out because she never saw it. So
I wasn't planning on rewatching it necessarily, but my wife asked me, she said, "Will you rewatch it with me?" And I was
wow.
1000%.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Are you asking me to sit down with you and watch a Star Wars thing?
Yeah.
What am I going to say no to that ever?
Well, that was
No.
the other night. I think I immediately texted you like when there's a free moment when my wife was like, "You know what we should do? We should watch Raiders of the Lost Ark." And I was like, "What? Okay." Like,
Okay.
Yes. Don't
You're
threaten
right,
me with a
we
good
should.
time.
Yeah. You are correct. We should be doing that every day.
Yeah. Well, so that came from the moment of talking with my son about like indie in general and him potentially watching Raiders. And because my wife misinterpreted and forgot that Temple of Doom was the Kali Ma and the heart scene and all that. She's like, "No way." I'm like, no, that's not that. Raiders, Cannonball, Idol. Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. Let's do that.
Yeah.
That was.
There's a couple. Did your son watch it?
Not yet, no. But
Okay.
I told her, I was like, outside of the face melting, we should be just about okay. We may have to warn him about that, but
Yeah. I had to warn my son about it the first time we saw it.
Yeah.
And I think he's seen it 2 other times since the first time he's seen it. And just this third time we watched it a couple weeks ago was the first time he decided he wanted to watch the arc thing at the end, the face melting thing. And he was terrified.
Oh yeah. See, that's and probably similarly, like I feel like my son will either find that to be the coolest thing he's ever seen,
right,
or utterly frightening. And there's not going to be an in between.
No, when I saw it when I was a kid, it was just like, it was scary, but it was also like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I've never seen or conceived of anything like this at all. I didn't know this was a possible thing for my eyes to behold, and here it is happening.
Yeah, I don't think anything registered.
I was like, I was like in awe of it more than like any like emotional feeling. I was just in awe of what I was watching. So, but kids these days are exposed to insane stuff.
Star Wars koozie too.
Star Wars koozie. Anyway, hey, speaking of Star Wars, let's talk about Andor Season 2 and not
we were in the Lucas sphere. We were at least adjacent.
We were in the Lucasfilm realm. Yes. I kind of thought this was a weird trailer. It's not the trailer that I expected. But when the song choice.
So this was the trailer to get non-Star Wars fans to watch this show.
Yes.
And I did not know that I would ever in my life hear cowpunk and Star Wars together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Strange.
yeah.
Like, I get it. And the trailer definitely reeks of, hey, people that don't usually watch Star Wars, try this show. Because it's like nothing but like quotes the whole time. It literally starts by saying season 1. It literally starts by saying, hey, everyone loved season 1. So here's some people talking
Right.
about season 1 and why you should watch season 2. Like, just quotes constantly.
Nobody watched it, but everybody liked it that did.
Right. Yeah. Like, it literally says like season 1 was the most heralded season of television, or whatever.
With a Rolling Stone quote about it being prestige TV and all this.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, to be fair, it was, but
it was. And I think, like, I get that because out of maybe all the major streamers, I think Disney has the biggest problem being seen as prestige adult television, no matter what the show is, no matter what the show is rated.
Right.
Because the shows that they have are either very much for kids, or they're about superheroes or Star Wars characters, you know, and there's a lot of people that don't see that as being possible prestige television, which is why Andor, I think, stuck out so much for so many people. Like, oh, this is real deal shit. Like, if Disney didn't own Star Wars, this could be on HBO or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
Like things like HBO or even Netflix, like they have a reputation for being able to deliver like adult series that could be on premium cable,
you know
whatever,
what?
Showtime, HBO, whatever. But Disney doesn't have that reputation, so this is them trying to fight for that, I think, a little bit.
This would 100% be an FX series.
Yeah, sure.
Like in that vein of like Legion or Shogun or one of those. Like,
yeah, sure.
But yeah, it opened. I mean, you open this trailer with Steve Earle and The Revolution Starts Now as the music in the background.
Right.
And it's
which is
one
cool,
of the,
I mean, it's
great tune,
cool
fitting
choice, but it's just
and
fitting, exactly.
Right.
Fitting.
Like the lyrics and the music actually fit what the theme of Andor is about.
Yeah.
But it's a Star Wars trailer without Star Wars music, and that's a very odd thing.
It's very strange. So that aside, the visuals that we got, I thought looked awesome. It was just a weird pairing of that with the song and the quotes that kind of threw me a little bit. But like, we saw, I'm pretty sure, a shot of him walking on Yavin 4, the base on Yavin 4.
Yep.
And then a lot of scenes of him. I feel like on the second time, I noticed that a lot of the scenes they were showing us seemed like they were kind of from the same episode or from the same sequences. Like the only scenes we got of Mon Mothma was in some strange dance,
the weird party orgy thing, whatever is going on.
Sure what was going on there? Yeah, like a dance routine happening. Is she taking dance classes? Like, what's happening there? And a lot of the Cassian stuff seemed to be from him on some like grassy field planet, stealing and using a TIE Defender, which looked really cool.
Actually, have we gotten a? Is that that's the first live action Defender we've seen? Because the only other reference
was it a Defender or was it like? Wait, what's a Defender?
No, the Defender's the triple.
Isn't that correct?
Defender's the three wings that Thrawn created.
What's the it wasn't that. It was like the one Kylo Ren has with like the long pointy.
I believe it in Rogue One that was a TIE Reaper.
Interceptor? A Reaper? Or is it Interceptor? Is an Interceptor a thing?
Interceptor has the panels that are like long and pointed, but they're vertical and on the sides, whereas the Reaper is more of a flat, looks like a ship. Like Reaper was in Rogue One.
Okay. I'll have to watch the trailer again and figure out what kind of TIE. Hey, if you're out there, tell us what kind of TIE ship this is. But anyway, that was mostly him. Oh, we did get a couple shots of what looked like him reuniting with Bix.
Multiple shots of that.
Yeah, like I don't think we saw her face, but we saw her from the back a couple times.
Early in the trailer, did we? There was like the two of them
I don't
like
know if we
kind
saw her
of like
face.
hugging but crouching away from something, like hiding.
There was one where they were hugging, and then there's one where it looked like they were fighting.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what's going on there. But we got a lot of returning characters, and we got Orson Krennic, I believe is his first name.
Yes, it is.
Played by the great Ben Mendelsohn. We knew he was returning, but man, I was excited to see him again in this trailer. I was just like, woo! Cool shot of him looking at the Death Star under construction still. I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited. Was there anything else that stuck out to you about this trailer, or like anything that surprised you or like really grabbed you?
You know what stuck out to me? The lack of Luthen Rail.
Yeah, he was only in one shot.
One shot.
Yeah.
Which surprised the hell out of me. Like there's no way he's not pivotal to just about everything that happens this season.
It would be insane if he was less than. If he has a smaller role than what he had last time, I would be surprised. Seems like he would have a bigger one. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's got to be TIE Avenger was what he was flying.
Avenger, okay.
I don't. Huh. Oh, you know,
like a lot of the different
the
TIE models kind of look almost the same.
So the
have very similar names.
Yeah, so the Avenger is effectively the next iteration of Vader's prototype.
Okay.
So that's a thing. Yeah. That's fun. Saw Gerrera.
We got 2 shots of Saw Gerrera at least, and him talking, like one shot of him just looking cool, and the other shot of him telling somebody to be ready to fight or something. I guess that's probably part of the reason that the style of the trailer kind of bugged me a little bit with all the quotes, is that like I feel like if they weren't making room for all these quotes, we would have gotten either longer clips or more clips or some clips of dialogue or something. Like, you know, you're making room for this pop song and these
I mean, we're going to see a couple
quotes,
because April 22nd is now officially
it's going to be here before we know it. Yeah.
There's got to at least be one more.
Is that what it is?
Yep. If I'm remembering right from earlier. We saw the shot of K2.
Yep. We got a K2. We did not get a B2 emo, which is a bummer because he's a wonderful droid who I want to see again.
True.
But he also left with Bix at the end of the first season. So, you know, if we see her, maybe she's with a droid or those other characters that we're all leaving together. Leaving whatever that planet was.
That's okay. Sorry. The interwebs have led me down a rabbit hole with the TIE Avenger. And I knew it looked familiar for a reason. X-Wing and TIE Fighter. The old computer games. The TIE Avenger first showed up in TIE Fighter.
Cool. What a reference.
That's a deep cut from 1994.
Yeah, right.
Something like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Way to go, Andor. Bringing in the deep cuts. There's a shot of him blowing up a building with someone I didn't recognize. Clearly like another rebel person, I think. I'm wondering if we're going to see any of those, like the team that he I can't remember the woman's name that led the team on the Aldhani heist.
I literally just saw a picture of her earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whose parents were part of the
She's Mon Mothma's cousin, isn't that right?
Yeah, there was some connection somewhere.
Yeah.
I got to rewatch season 1.
Vel.
Yep.
Vel. Yeah.
Vel Sartha.
I wonder if we're going to see her. Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see her or her girlfriend or any of those other team members. I guess most of the rest of that team died.
I was going to say good chunk of them don't exist anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, we got a good amount of shots, but I feel like they're only from a couple episodes. So we will see probably a lot more in subsequent trailers.
I believe we often talk about how that's usually a good thing.
Usually a good thing, for sure.
So,
and it is a tradition for Star Wars trailers to like kind of show you stuff but not really tell you anything.
Yep.
Which is cool. And remember, this show is a show that takes place over the course of 5 years.
Yeah.
I think. So,
I believe it's structured as 4 drops of 3 episodes. So they're dropping each arc as a week. Like,
Yep.
here's
each-
arc 1, here's arc 2, here's arc 3, here's arc 4.
Oh, they're dropping 3 at a time?
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Oh, man, I hadn't heard that.
I don't know if that's verified, but that's what I thought I had heard.
Similar to season 1 was kind of like in different chunks, like plotline chunks of episodes.
Yep.
And it makes sense if you're doing time jumps between every 3 episodes that, you'd want some space, I guess, maybe between them. But that's why, we see Cassian kind of walking in different outfits, kind of looking different, his hair slicked back at one point. Like, I feel like that's kind of representative of different timelines that we're going to see him in. So
that towards the end of the trailer, there's that slicked back, smarmy look on his face.
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah, okay, nice work. Like,
yeah,
full blown undercover operative, like deep cover Cassian type stuff.
Can't wait for this. Can't wait.
Oh, and the fact that Miro was back only in 1 or 2 shots again, kind of like Luthen.
Right.
So Deidre hopefully will be. I'd assume they've got to wrap that up somewhere between her and what's his face, the
Cyril
Karn.
Yeah. Deidre has got to be like a main thrust of the series because
that's got to be how Krennic gets involved.
She's so incredible in season 1. Like, such a great Star Wars villain. I love her. I love her, and I'm like getting excited to rewatch season 1 just thinking about her like character. She's so good. So good. I want more of her. So yeah, I hope she's working like directly with Krennic or something. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Andor. Star Wars is great.
Especially Andor.
Anyway, moving on to a huge bunch of stuff that we got from the mouths of James Gunn and Peter Safran themselves, the co-heads, the new DC studios. I'm pretty sure a couple months ago we were talking about DC stuff, and I said something along the lines of, I think this is what we were talking about Comic-Con and how they weren't doing a big thing at Comic-Con or something. And I was like, what I do need is just like, I need like a yearly update on where they are because they announced all this stuff 2 years ago. We don't know where it is.
Right.
And, sometimes he comes out on social medias and denies things or confirms things or whatever, but like, there's just a lot just up in the air. And, the way Marvel does it has its own problems. Like, yeah, sure, they'll announce something and they'll give you a date and they'll give you casting, but they do all that before there's even a script, so that they get into trouble in their own kind of way. And not that DC Studios is in trouble, but it just like kind of leaves me hanging when they say there's a Swamp Thing movie that they want to make and then just zero information about it for 2 years. Like, okay, why'd you tell me that then? And I don't know, maybe they're learning their lesson, or maybe they're going to start doing press stuff like this more often. Who knows? But what I do know is that this past Friday at the Warner Brothers lot in a small-ish screening room, James Gunn and Peter Safran spoke to a small group of journalists. And there were no real new announcements, although I guess Gunn did reference a few unnamed projects being in development, not announced yet. There were some confirmations on things that we have heard, confirmations of rumors, and general updates on where all the announced projects currently stand. Peter Safran said, and this was a big deal for me, so much so that when our friend Matt texted it to me, I did not believe it based on other things.
Literally, yeah.
But Peter Safran said that DC Studios is ultimately aiming to release 2 live-action films and 1 animated film per year, plus 2 live-action and 2 animated TV series per year. So that's 7 projects a year total. Wow. That's a lot. And when I saw that, like Matt just sent like a screenshot with that headline, and I was like, no. James Gunn has constantly said that he wants to make sure that the scripts are done, blah, blah, blah. And that is still true. They said, despite that being their goal, they did reiterate that the overall philosophy is that no project will get a green light until they're both satisfied with a completed screenplay. And also to keep in mind that this does not mean all those projects will be a part of the greater DCU. Things like Teen Titans Go or Harley Quinn. I don't know if those count as like does a new season of Harley Quinn count as one of the animated projects that they want to do every year, or is it like a brand new series? Are they talking about like what is?
I mean, I would assume I don't think it had. If they don't want to fall down the Marvel rabbit hole, I would say it ends up being, additional seasons count type thing.
I would think so too. I would think so too. Because like if Peacemaker season 2 counts, then Teen Titans Go season 10 should count or whatever,
Right.
So
And also,
I guess
otherwise, how the hell are they filling 7 projects? Like Marvel hit that during COVID, when that was all when they were just throwing stuff out, like that post-COVID boom. But beyond that, that's insane.
Yeah, it's you know what? It absolutely has to count shows that are already happening and like second seasons of things. It absolutely has to count that. Because that would be an absolute overload of content, of new content of every year. Like we're getting 7 new DC things every single year. Like that can't be true.
Yeah, it's probably like a one new season, one continuing saga
plus
type thing.
Lanterns. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. So cool. I thought that was. So it sounds. I guess that sounds more ambitious than it actually is. Although it still is pretty ambitious for a studio that seems so, or at least according to Gunn, has said repeatedly, seems more focused on quality than quantity. And they seem like they're okay if they don't actually hit that goal. But like already this year, we've gotten a new season of Harley, and we're gonna get Superman. So if that counts, then great. And we're gonna get Peacemaker season 2. So like, okay, there's 3 right there. So they're already off to a start.
Right.
Are they counting this year? Because like they're not gonna get 7 projects this year.
No, they're not.
I don't know. We'll see. So anyway, they did get some pretty good updates on a lot of stuff we've been hearing about. First thing they talked about was Clayface. And James Gunn confirmed that they originally had no plans and no intention of making a Clayface movie because apparently to him it sounded just as bizarre as it does to all of us when they announced it. But they were only convinced of it by the strength of Mike Flanagan's script and his pitch for the character. They confirmed that, as we talked about last week, James Watkins is in talks to direct. James Gunn described the movie as being a body horror film that they hope will, quote, work as a pure horror film, as a pure horror movie for someone who doesn't care at all about DC, which I think is smart. Planning to shoot this summer, casting is currently underway. Unfortunately, they did also confirm that Alan Tudyk, who voiced the character in Creature Commandos, will not be playing the character, as that was not a primary role for Tudyk in Creature Commandos. I feel like that's kind of a smart move. Like, Alan Tudyk is beloved by nerds, but not necessarily a household name when it comes to someone that you want to lead a film and sell a film on somebody's name, right? Because it's not like, you can make a movie called Joker and everyone's like, oh, I know who that is. And it's maybe less important to cast someone who's going to bring people in, although that movie also cast Joaquin Phoenix, who is a movie star. But when you start with a character like Clayface, who is a few levels down of name recognition in the
just a couple
comic book world, you don't necessarily you can't go C-level character and lesser known actor leading the film. You have to, one of those has to be an A. And if it's not the character, then it's going to have to be the actor. So my guess is they're going to try to find somebody a little more known than Alan Tudyk. But I don't know. Who do you cast to be in a weird body horror movie where the character turns into a giant clay monster? I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Inherently, you would think you just get some up-and-comer that you think can handle it, but...
Yeah, but if you're looking for like a name, you probably want to... If you're looking to get butts and seats for someone, well, actually, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter because like people go see horror movies all the time. So,
yeah,
if it looks cool, people will go see it. And I think it's very smart for them to be doing it in a way that works as a pure horror movie, as they say. So you don't, it goes along with what they've been saying the whole time. You don't have to see Superman in order to understand Clayface, which makes a lot of sense. But also that someone could just have never heard of Clayface and not know that it's a Batman character at all and be like, whoa, that movie looks gross and scary. I want to go see it because I like horror movies. So
right.
I think that's very smart to build it like that. Speaking of Batman, they spoke a lot about the Caped Crusader himself, confirming that Matt Reeves, writer director of the Batman, co-writer and director of the Batman Part 2, has still not turned in a fully completed script for the Batman Part 2. But Peter Safran says that what they have read parts of it, and what they have read has been, quote, incredibly encouraging. They say, so that's moving along. It's still planning to shoot at the end of this year. It's really the only update they gave on that movie. They said they don't know if there will be a season 2 of The Penguin quite yet, due to, quote, a lot of moving pieces, most importantly, Colin himself, referencing the fact that Colin Farrell wasn't sure if he ever wanted to play that part again after the copious amounts of makeup required for that show.
I think everything came out. He loved the part and could not stand the makeup.
Yeah, especially after, like, I get, like, you know, it's the same amount of makeup that he used when he was in the Batman, but he's only in a couple scenes of the Batman, really.
Right.
But the Penguin, he's in pretty much every
season.
It's his show, his name, it's his character's name as the title, so he's got to be in it all the time, and not just for a few hours every day while he's filming, a scene where he's standing behind Carmine Falcone or whatever, for 2 seconds.
Yep.
So that's still up in the air. They are still in active development on The Brave and the Bold. It's going to be a Batman and Robin movie, which is, quote, coming together nicely. And James Gunn said it is, quote, very unlikely that Robert Pattinson will portray Batman in the DCU. Now, this flies in the face of
the hard
constant,
no.
near constant rumors that we hear about Pattinson is going to be the one, and they're going to change their mind, and it's going to be Pattinson. But like,
well, we keep hearing those rumors, but we also in the past had gotten a hard no from Gunn, so it's kind of in between the two.
Yeah, I mean, and he's the one that's running the studio, so if he's saying no, and like, yes, he could change his mind, but like, he hasn't. He hasn't really budged at all. He's sticking to his guns, for lack of a better term. Very unlikely that Pattinson will portray Batman in DCU. The Reeves films will continue in a different timeline. And I know some people think that's going to be confusing. I don't care. I don't think it's going to be confusing. So I'm all for it. I don't care. Yes, give it to me.
Why would it be like, for anyone who thinks about it for more than half a second, it's not confusing.
Yeah, and I know. It seems obvious, but like, I think people, and there's a lot of dumb people out there. So I get that dumb people would be confused, like, wait, why isn't this Batman the same as this Batman? But I don't know. It's going to look way different. It's going to feel way different. So it shouldn't be that hard. I don't know. It shouldn't be that hard. Like, didn't The Flash come out after the Batman had come out? I'm pretty sure, right? The Batman had been out already before The Flash. Did people go see? I mean, no one went to see The Flash, but when the people that did go see The Flash, were they like, hey, why isn't that? Well, yeah. Were they like, why is that not Robert Pattinson? Why is that Ben Affleck? I thought, like, were they confused by that? No, I don't think so. Because they know that this is a Batman that interacts with the Flash and Wonder Woman, and Robert Pattinson is not. I don't know. It just makes, it's like you said, think about it for 2 seconds, and it's fine. He did say that although Brave and the Bold is still in development, he did say it was possible for Batman to show up in a different DCU project before appearing in The Brave and the Bold. However, that role had not yet been cast. So it's not like we're going to see him in Superman or something that's underway currently.
Right.
But who knows? Lanterns, maybe. Peacemaker. Who knows? Something that's not quite. I guess no. They finished Peacemaker season 2, so not Peacemaker, but Lanterns.
Oh, but if I was going to say, if Bruce Wayne shows up in Lanterns,
very possible.
Yeah,
be good. Be a good spot for him. That'd be cool.
And I guess that's the thing. As the character, it's not like Batman has to show up.
Exactly. There was a lot of talk about animation and some new announcements regarding animation. First, they said they're still in active development on the animated Blue Beetle series, which I had forgotten about. They announced it a long time ago.
Yep.
and they are in official pre-production on Dynamic Duo, the
It's the Jason and
puppetry. The supposed to focus on Dick Grayson and Jason Todd as Robins, and that studio that's doing cool like 3D puppets combined with stop motion combined with CG kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
can't wait to see how it looks. It's gonna look super cool. And I guess I mean they announced that, but I didn't realize that they were in like pre-production on it already. That's really cool because that means like a script is ready, I think. So but they also announced 3 new animated shows: My Adventures with Green Lantern, awesome, Superpowers, and Starfire. Very cool. Now, My Adventure with Green Lantern, clearly a spin-off, or maybe it takes place in the same world as the pretty successful My Adventures with Superman series. It's been on HBO Max, Max, for 2 seasons already. It's going to feature high school student Jessica Cruz having her life upended when a Green Lantern power ring falls from the sky and chooses her to be its champion. Very cool choice to go with Jessica Cruz. Sets it apart from the Lantern series that's going to star Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart and whatever else they might be doing, with like Superman. Guy Gardner is in Superman, so picking a different one and it being a woman, I think is a great choice. And setting her in high school is a great choice because then you get like Peter Parker vibes,
Yeah.
like you got to be the Green Lantern, but also you got to finish your math test or whatever. So I think that's smart. And if it's the same vibe as My Adventures with Superman, it'd be a great fit, I think.
I mean, at this point, we're setting up like an entire Green Lantern Corps right off the bat.
Yeah, man, do it. Now, I don't know. These probably aren't going to be, I guess, because My Adventures with Superman isn't part of the DCU. So my guess that My Adventures with Green Lantern isn't a DCU canon thing. Right?
You never know.
I guess you never know. Superpowers, which I love. They put out title cards for these 3 series as well. Superpowers uses the classic logo from the 80s Kenner line of Super Justice League action figures, of which I have some vintage ones over on my shelf over there. It just made me very happy and nostalgic to see that that's the logo that they were using. Superpowers show takes place at Alliance School for Heroes and focuses on new students Lightning, Flash, Plastic Man, Aquagirl, Green Lantern, and Terra, who, quote, level up their powers under the supervision of Principal Martian Manhunter in the hopes of one day graduating and becoming the next generation of Earth's defenders. So again, seems like it's aimed at a younger audience, which I think is smart. Again, get something out there for kids. And you get Flash, you got a Green Lantern. Who knows what Green Lantern that's going to be? But you also got like Plastic Man and Aquagirl and Terra and Lightning, who I'm guessing is, my guess is that's Black Lightning, and they're dropping the black. I'm not sure why, but who knows? But again, I think it's cool that this is going to be more maybe kids, and then also Starfire. It's an origin story for the fan favorite title character, best known as part of the Teen Titans. The show follows her adventures after she uses a, quote, an ancient spaceship that she discovers on her home planet of Tamaran to escape her planet and explore the stars. So kind of a cool star hopping, planet hopping show about Starfire. Cool character. My guess is that it's going to be a radically different interpretation from the version that we see of her in Teen Titans Go. Although it would be cool if they were just spinning off the character from Teen Titans Go. Steve, any opinions on any of these cartoon shows that are most likely for children? My Adventure with the Green Lantern, Superpowers, or Starfire?
No,
No.
not
Did you ever
really.
watch My Adventures with Superman?
I did not. My son was reading the comics for a bit,
That's right.
and he was enjoying
Yeah.
them. And then the standard, like, missed a pull here or there, and there goes that. He
Yeah,
wouldn't care,
of
but
course.
for continuity's sake, I figured I'll save myself $4 a crack.
Yeah. I went the other night. I asked my son if he wanted to watch a Green Lantern show, because there's like they did one season of a computer animated Green Lantern series. It was like a Bruce Timm thing.
Oh,
So it was kind of in the style of like Justice League Unlimited or Batman animated series, but like, still like the super broad-shouldered dudes kind of design. But just computer animated. They only did one season, but it was great, and I watched it years ago, and I went to pull it up on Max to show my son, and it was gone.
Really?
Great. Yep.
And thus
Physical
brings,
media.
I was going to say, thus brings back our
Yep.
concept of bring it back to physical media.
Yep. Buy it while you can, because it might not exist or it might be gone inexplicably. Like, where else has the Green Lantern? Why? Who else has that? Nobody. Why wouldn't it be on your show, your streamer? Anyway. A reporter asked about Sergeant Rock, a movie that they'd never officially announced, but it was reported that Daniel Craig, who was rumored to be portraying Sergeant Rock, had left the project past week. And Peter Safran said that Craig was never attached. We never met with Daniel. He was just an idea. And then James Gunn said, well, we never even really announced Sergeant Rock. So they're talking about it like it does exist, but also saying, hey, it might not exist. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems like they weren't on the same page about what to say about Sergeant Rock. But clearly it's something that's in development. Like, clearly, like, the trades had it, and Safran just commented on it as if it was really happening. So, maybe it's not announced, but they're clearly working on it. And speaking of things that hadn't really been announced but had been rumored, later a reporter asked about the status of a Teen Titans script being written by scribe of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, Anna Nogueira. And Safran said that the script's not ready yet. I mean, I think we said that Anna Nogueira is writing it. And James Gunn responded saying, we haven't said that. And Safran said, no, I think that's out there. And Gunn said, oh, it's out there, meaning it's out there now.
Right.
But then James Gunn continued to confirm that is happening and said it was something that Anna was really impassioned about. And she turned over an amazing script for us. She's fiddling with that now, but it's definitely not a finished script. So they are officially working on a Teen Titans movie, which I think is a no-brainer, genius move for them to do. The amount of people that have grown up watching various animated versions of the Teen Titans characters on Cartoon Network or HBO Max or whatever, like, this is like, there's a built-in audience for these characters. And it's going to be one of those things where, the younger millennials that used to watch them when they were 10 or whatever are now going to be in their mid-20s and ready to see a live-action superhero movie about the characters that they grew up with. So smart, very excited about that. Also, you may remember that there was rumors about a Bane and Deathstroke movie, which is a very strange pairing. Someone asked about that, and when they did ask about it, Safran reminded them that they never actually announced or said anything about such a project. But Gunn did say that Matthew Orton, who was rumored to be working on the project, confirmed that he is working on a script for DC that is, quote, something like a Bane and Deathstroke story. What kind of thing is that? So he's working on something that may or may not involve those characters. So not really. I guess that's kind of a confirmation that something's happening, but not a confirmation of it being a Bane and Deathstroke movie. Who knows? Who knows? And then I lumped these last ones into a category called stalled projects. Just stuff that has been announced that we haven't really heard anything about. They did confirm that they're still in development on Paradise Lost, which is going to be a Wonder Woman prequel series set on Themyscira. They are confirmed. Not confirmed. They compared it to Game of Thrones in the original announcement. The Booster Gold series is still happening. However, it stalled out because they had been waiting on one showrunner, I guess, who had expressed interest in the project and wanted to do it. So they were holding off for them to officially sign on and join the series. And then that showrunner ultimately decided against it and moved on to something else. So now they're back to not square one, but they're back to trying to find someone who wants to do it. But it seems like it's pretty far along if they were ready for a showrunner to join it, or farther along than some other things. Swamp Thing has stalled, but only because of James Mangold's schedule, finishing and doing promotion for A Complete Unknown, Bob Dylan movie. I was really hoping that this article was going to touch on whether or not James Mangold was going to do Swamp Thing or Star Wars next.
Right.
I feel like a lot of things have been pointing towards Star Wars lately, but then I heard Jeff Snyder say last week that it may be Swamp Thing. Like, I don't know. Who knows? I do really want some news on that. So come on, Mangold, commit. Tell us what you're doing next. Probably won't be till after, the Oscars are next week, and probably sometime after that, we'll hear what James Mangold's next move is going to be. The Peacemaker spinoff and Suicide Squad spinoff, Waller, which we heard about a long time ago. I think that was mentioned before Gunn and Safran took over DC Studios.
Yeah, I think so.
James Gunn says that has had a, quote, bumpy road to getting the right script. So I guess they're still working on it, but it's just not there yet. But Viola Davis is still attached to the series. The one that has suffered the most, I guess, is The Authority. It's a film that was announced as part of the original slate when James Gunn came out and announced all these projects. This was one of them. It was one that he was very passionate about. It now has officially been moved to the back burner. One, because of the scale. I guess it's a very big movie. Two, because the script isn't quite where it needs to be. And three, I guess they have since greenlit some other projects that are kind of stepping on story elements that were going to be part of The Authority, so that it may not be as crucial, or the story they had for it may not really be as impactful as what they thought it would be when they thought it was going to be like one of the first films out of the gate. But they said story elements are being touched on by other projects like Superman, Brave and the Bold, and even Paradise Lost. So there's other things going on there that, Brave and the Bold, probably a higher priority for the studio than The Authority, just because it's a Batman movie. So if Batman can introduce a plot line that's important to overall whatever story that they're telling, then it might be more important to give it to Batman than to give it to a movie about characters no one knows about. Overall, they said that they're still committed to having projects stand alone from each other, but admitted that, of course, the whole design of these DC studios, them taking over DC Studios, is because people want to see these characters interact. So they have mapped out a roughly 6-year plan to tell a wider story within the DCU that will result in a crossover project similar to, obviously the Avengers. James Gunn said, in regards to how he's viewing the characters, how he's reviewing the universe, how he's viewing bringing them all together eventually, he said, it isn't like they are chapters of an overall story. They're characters that are part of an overall story. Kind of seems like he's not making a big differentiation there, but I feel like I know what he means by that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was quite the right verbiage to use to discern what he's going for, but yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of get it. I mean, He's basically saying, like, you don't have to see Superman to see Supergirl. You don't have to see Supergirl to see Lanterns. You don't have to see Peacemaker in order to see Brave and the Bold or whatever. It's that kind of thing. Whereas the MCU, you kind of do have to see everything, or you're not going to know what's going on. There's exceptions here and there, but if you want an overall, especially like that first 3 phases, like if you miss a movie or two, you're going to wonder who a character is, or what a joke means, or what the MacGuffin is, or whatever. So I think that's what he means, just that, like, they're not chapters, they're just characters that all exist in the same world. So that was a lot of DC stuff. Steve, that was a lot of me talking.
It was.
Is there any of these that you are more excited about than others? Any announcements here that you're more excited about than others? Like, what on this entire DC slate of things that are either in production or in development, what are you looking forward to besides Superman?
DC's in a weird spot because they keep announcing all this stuff, and we have no idea what of it we're going to see, how we're going to see it, or what quality it's going to be, or when. Like, with Gunn at the helm, I'd assume there's at least a modicum of quality somewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
one would hope.
With the seemingly hard and fast rule of we're not doing it until there's a script ready, it seems like that's going to ensure some level of quality.
Right.
Yeah.
One would hope.
Yeah.
But with all that said, like that's an ambitious lineup, and I guess I'll be curious to see when we see what we're gonna see.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't know.
just like,
Seems like a lot.
I know we've talked about this before, but it's just that Marvel has trained our brains and trained us so quickly to expect a huge slate of movies that are already greenlit, already in production, already cast. But it took us a while to realize, oh, they're writing these things on the fly. you know.
Right.
Yeah, sure, they're hitting their dates. But it's the quality suffers more often than not, and especially now. And it's a miracle that they had so many good movies up front, I think, when they were still kind of acting that way. But our brains have been trained to hear an announcement of a movie and also hear a date and expect that movie to come out on that date. And that's not what James Gunn is doing. He's just working in a different way. Like, he doesn't care that Clayface is going to be the third DC movie. He doesn't care that Sergeant Rock is going to be the fourth or whatever. Like, he's just moving along, and what's ready. If it's ready, it's ready. And if it's not, it's not. And it doesn't matter, because if I don't have to see Supergirl in order to understand Sergeant Rock, then who cares? I'll go to see a Supergirl movie. I'll go to see a cool World War II movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
I don't know.
interested in seeing most everything that's on that list, but also,
Yeah.
Is it bad to say I'm not going to get my hopes up too high on a lot of anything just because we don't know what's going to actually see the light of day? Like, haven't we
No, I think
done
that's
this too many
fair.
times?
Well, yeah, I think that's fair. And I think that's kind of what, James Gunn is saying when he's like, I feel like it was a few months ago, he said on social media, he made a big distinction between development and production. In development doesn't mean green lit. In development means writing. We're figuring out what it's going to be, the tone of it. Like, pre-production is it is being made and we're working on it. And those are two big differences for him.
Yeah.
Where it seems like Marvel, if it's in development, they're going to tell us about it at Comic-Con and throw a date on it and put it in our eyeballs, whether it's ready or not.
Also
And
sounds right.
so I think that's the way that he wants us to go about it, is be like excited, but not have our heart set on it, in case, if there was any big Authority fans out there that lost their mind when he announced an Authority movie, now they're probably bummed.
Well,
And
dozens of
I
them.
feel like, I think we'll probably get less, like that first announcement that we got about DC Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. Here, we're doing Superman, we're doing Swamp Thing, we're doing Supergirl, we're doing Lanterns, we're doing all this. I don't think we're going to get many of those anymore from James Gunn. I think we're going to get like one announcement at a time. We greenlit Sergeant Rock. We're making it. We're filming it this year. It's coming out next year. We greenlit Clayface. We greenlit Brave and the Bold. And we'll still hear about some of those projects, obviously, that he announced, but I don't think we're going to get a big slate announcement from DC Studios. I don't think that's how they're going to work, because they're already seeing how that can be troublesome. Things already aren't moving as fast as they thought, and people are already, upset. Where's my Booster Gold show? Where's my Swamp Thing movie?
No one will ever be happy.
Well, that's also true. Did you see Captain America 4 yet?
I have not.
I have not either.
I've tried
Still would
twice.
Yeah.
And life got in the way twice, including, again, my wife suggested that we go see it. And I was like, yeah.
Wow.
And then we realized that there wasn't a showing we could actually get to.
Womp
Because weirdly, I haven't looked at what the box office did, but even the second week it was out, everything around here was sold out pretty good.
Yeah.
So
I haven't looked at box office either. I've looked at reviews, and they're all pretty down the middle. So, not to turn me. I still want to see it.
tops expectations.
If I haven't seen it by my birthday, maybe I'll go during the day of my birthday if it's still playing. Hopefully it will be. Anyway, that was my segue into the Marvel stuff we have to talk about tonight.
It was a
Not talking about Captain America.
68% drop in the second weekend.
Pretty hefty.
It is, but So Guardians 3 dropped 47. Ant-Man dropped 70.
70.
Yeah.
The first Ant-Man?
Ant-Man 3, Quantumania.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I assumed when we were talking about shitty box office showings, we all knew which Ant-Man we were talking about. Even though I liked it much more than most people.
You did. Yes, you did.
So yeah. I don't know. It seems like it's still doing okay internationally. But yeah, it's it'll probably make enough money to function as a movie.
Okay, good.
You know.
But huge budget though, so it does have to make a ton of money in order to be profitable.
Right.
So we'll see.
Well, they're currently at 141 domestically and 289 worldwide. So
okay, that's not nothing.
No,
it's not nothing. But we're not talking about Captain America. We're talking about a different character, a radically different character, still within the same universe. We're talking about John Bernthal's depiction of Frank Castle, the Punisher, and how he's going to return. That's right. We know he's returning in Daredevil Born Again, which comes out on March 4th, a couple weeks. But as announced, confirmed, leaked, I don't know, by Marvel's Brad Winderbaum, producer, he was speaking to comicbook.com this week and said, that's a character that's very personal to John, the actor, John Bernthal. He made that character an icon. He is, I think I can say he's working on a special presentation with us right now about that character. That character is driven by a lot of pain and need to kind of get vengeance and justice. But it's always interesting where his philosophy lands on how he deals out that justice. To me, that's the most interesting part of the Punisher, how he justifies the violence he inflicts. So we are getting a Marvel special presentation starring John Bernthal as the Punisher, which I think is very cool. This would be the third Marvel special presentation after Werewolf by Night and the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. Steve, what do you think of this news?
I think we've been talking since they started out doing these special presentations with Werewolf by Night that they need to do more of them instead of trying to tie things up in a full series. And Punisher seems like it's a perfect candidate for something like this, of take this character, digest it down into a microcosm of what makes Frank Castle tick, put it in an hour and a half presentation, and call it a day.
Steve, that's absolutely my opinion of this. I think a special presentation is the absolute perfect place to utilize the Punisher instead of trying to do another movie, because those movies have no Punisher movie has been successful.
Right.
Although I do like the Thomas Jane one, or I used to. I haven't seen it in a long time. But
I was going to say it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Saw that in theaters.
I think I did too.
Yeah.
And you're right, because Marvel is not known for R-rated content. That might change a little bit after we see Daredevil Born Again. And
we just saw Deadpool and Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine was, yeah. But like Deadpool and Wolverine is like funny violence a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Whereas Punisher's not funny,
No.
No,
Punisher is not funny.
It's not funny, and he shouldn't be funny.
Right.
So I think we're hearing a lot about Daredevil Born Again being pretty R-rated, being pretty violent. So we'll see what that's like. But the season 1 of the Punisher Netflix show was great. Season 2 I thought was fine. A lot of people didn't like season 2 of the Punisher show. And I think that's because it's hard to do a full series on that character. I think the Punisher works, no offense to Punisher fans, I think Punisher works in small doses or as an antagonist.
Right.
Or as a begrudging, side character to interact with. That's why he was so great in Daredevil season 2. He wasn't the star of the show. So I think this is a really good spot for Marvel, or to put Punisher, I should say, special presentation. And also, yes, do more special presentations, please, for weird characters. Also, reported this week that Marvel has stopped production on 3 series that they didn't ever actually officially announce,
Right.
which is a strange story. That they're stopped production on Nova, Strange Academy, and Terror Incorporated. Now, Nova, obviously based on the Nova character. Strange
Richard
Academy
Rider,
was going to be Richard Rider. Strange Academy was going to be a Doctor Strange teaching young wizards kind of thing. Terror Incorporated, I had not heard of at all until this announcement. I had never heard a rumor of it. I can assume it was maybe a Marvel Zombies spinoff or something having to do with that. But weird to announce that they're pausing production on shows that they never actually officially announced in the first place. And according to Jeff Snyder on the Hot Mic podcast this week, this pause in production is so that Marvel can turn their attention to developing a series known as not Strange Academy, but X Academy, which could lead into or be a spin-off of an upcoming X-Men film. This would be a live action series about young mutants training to eventually become X-Men. Now, Steve, I don't think you had heard this bit of news until it just came from my mouth. So what do you think of a possible live action young X-Men or New Mutants type series?
I wonder if the X Academy thing is just a older. I don't know. I don't have faith that they will do it well enough to justify doing it.
Oh, okay. What makes you say that? Why don't you have the faith?
Have you seen anything Marvel's touched over the last 10 years at this point? 5 years? That isn't James Gunn related?
There's been yeah, I don't know. Was
Come
Echo
on,
was great.
Okay.
She-Hulk was great. I'm thinking series, man.
Okay, series-wise.
None of the series have been bad. This is a series we're talking about. I'm not talking about the movies. Yeah, the movies.
Yeah, but none of the series have really banged the doors down either. Like Echo, I feel like Echo was great solely because we had zero expectations for it.
Yeah.
She-Hulk I did enjoy. I'll give you that.
Yep.
But I don't know. It's just like
Agatha.
Again, zero expectations.
But great.
But you give me a Mutants TV series and I'm going to have expectations.
Correct. That's true. That's a good point.
And figure out that you can't screw up the mainline guys before you try and branch things off.
Yes. They said this could be a lead into or a spinoff of. I think it would work much better as a spinoff of an X-Men film. I don't want the first time I see the X-Men in the MCU, no offense, I don't want it to be in a series. I want it to be in a movie.
Right.
I do think on paper this is a great idea because Steve, how many X-Men characters are there? 6,000?
Roughly.
Something like that. Roughly 6,000 X-Men characters.
Go look up the Cerebro podcast and how many episodes they've got out and then multiply that multiple times.
You and I have talked multiple times about whatever they do with the X-Men. We want it to have we hope it has a relatively small team. We want to be overwhelmed with X characters out of the gate and just like, oh, here's 30 X-Men on your team. Like, no, give us 5 or give us 8, whatever, max. But I don't need more than that. Like a small-ish team.
And is a team of I don't know, Danny Moonstar and Cannonball and Sunspot and I don't know, Cypher or somebody is that going to draw eyes into your series? Because of all those people, of all those, how many in your brain immediately were could you picture all of them?
I'm the one that referred to it as a possible New Mutants kind of thing. I'm the one that said that. That wasn't part of this report from Hot Mic or whatever. But
even as someone familiar with the New Mutants, does that grab you at all?
No, but what I'm saying is,
and I like how I tried to come up with names, and all I could come up with were New Mutants.
You did it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a New Mutants thing. They could orchestrate this where there's just young versions of popular X-Men characters that are on this team, like Jubilee could be on this team, or
Right.
we're making Psylocke a young woman instead of a adult, and she's going to be on this team too. Like, you can
Right.
give us teenage characters of these characters as a way to give us these characters and not overwhelm us by cramming them all into a movie. You know what I mean? So that's why I
Yeah.
mean, like, on paper, I think it's a good idea. But it all depends on how they execute it. Get it? Huh.
Bravo.
It's not intended. It's not intended. Like I said it, and then I backtracked to make it seem like I did it on purpose, and now I'm just admitting to it because I'm not a liar.
There you go.
But anyway, that's a thing that apparently is underway at Marvel. I just keep thinking it can't be much longer until we start hearing X-Men casting for real. They're supposed to be filming this year.
There's got to be. Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to save it for Comic-Con. That'd be smart. If they're trying to save it for Comic-Con. Like, that'd be dope. Remember that time that they announced, like, they brought out all the Avengers
Yeah.
at Comic-Con? Like, that was a big deal. And I don't think they announced them at... Maybe they did. Did they? They must have announced who was playing who and then just brought them out at Comic-Con. I don't think that wasn't a surprise that Scarlett Johansson was playing Black Widow. Like, they already knew
There
that.
might have been a surprise in there or something or whatever.
But it was cool that they were all there.
Yeah.
And it would be cool if they brought all the X-Men out. Here's your new team. I know we're getting late, so we'll try to bang through these last couple things and get out of here. Actually, when did we start? How are we doing?
We're at an hour right now, so we're
okay.
we're not
all right.
ridiculously
Go a little bit over
beyond our normal stupid length.
Yet.
Oh, welcome aboard, Brian. I'm glad you could make it after exposing all of the greater Solvay area to satanic symbolism through Taylor Swift's music, apparently.
Sounds good.
Yeah, as is become an annual tradition, the people on Facebook associated with the Solvay Public Library page seem to lash out at this Taylor Swift dance party annually.
Oh, that's what you're saying. That's stupid.
Put on by Funky Town Comics and Vinyl.
Like, that's literally people saying rock and roll is the devil's music.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Said in like 1954. Like, shut up.
Yeah. I do not.
Bunch of idiots out there.
Right. I didn't turn into an evil asshole by liking Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails growing up.
Yeah. This is a miscellaneous thing, and it's not a franchise we normally talk about because it doesn't really fit in with like nerd stuff. Although it is definitely like a franchise that people love.
This falls into the Mission Impossible category of things we cover.
Sure, but I don't think you and I are so into this that we have a passion to talk about it. Like, I'm always ready to talk about Mission Impossible.
Right. You are not your brother-in-law.
Right. I'm not. But this is like a big deal in general. Like, it's a big enough deal that I thought we should mention it.
Yeah.
That Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli, longtime owners and people that had full creative control over the James Bond franchise, have given up their creative control over this franchise. Now, this is something that has been in their control for decades. They've been the two that are making the decisions, like down to casting, down to directors, approving scripts. These are like the two people that have been in control creatively of this franchise forever. They officially have sold their controlling stake to Amazon. Now, Amazon paid $8.5 billion to acquire MGM a couple years ago, and they did that for all of that IP that is associated with MGM, but a big one was the James Bond franchise. So they've been involved in the James Bond franchise for a while, but now they are in full control. Amazon is in full control of the James Bond franchise, and there's been talk about Amazon setting up a fully like a full studio production wing, and not just I mean, they make films, they produce films, I believe, but they're not like an official film studio as much as they're just like doing stuff for their Prime streamer, and every once in a while something gets a theatrical release. But so they're trying to get up and running, and the reports of there had been reports previously that we haven't talked about because we don't talk about James Bond too much. That the disagreements between Michael G. Wilson, Barbara Broccoli, and Amazon were that Amazon wanted to turn the James Bond franchise into cinematic universe similar to the MCU, which everyone tries to do, and no one, very few have done it well. So they want to make spin-off shows and more movies, things like that. Real quick, Steve, what do you think of that idea? Now Amazon seems like that's like their plan. So
Not-
like, what do we think?
Not everything needs
What
to
do we
be
think
a cinematic universe, Mike.
Yeah. And I don't know exactly what Wilson and Broccoli's argument was, but to me,
To be fair, I still can't get over broccoli. I don't know why
Yeah.
that just really screws me up every
I'm
time you
pretty
say it as a
sure-
last name.
look it up while I say this. I'm pretty sure she has like that name is the name of the vegetable also. Like her family like created the vegetable broccoli. I know that sounds crazy, but look it up while we're talking.
Fire away, I'll figure this one out.
Okay. I feel like James Bond is too cool for is a cinematic universe. I think he's better than that. I think he's cooler than that. I think the character is more important than that. Like it seems like a cinematic universe seems like it's going to like water down the character and make it less special. Like James Bond movies are special because you don't get them all the time, and when they come out, it's a huge deal. The next like whoever's going to play Bond next is a huge deal. Whoever the love interest is next is going to be a huge deal. Whoever the director is next is going to be a huge deal. So like it's kind of like, I mean, I love Star Wars. I'm in the bag for Star Wars. I'll watch any series, I'll watch any movie, I'll be excited about it. But and I've said this before, there is something about old school the way Star Wars used to be made before it was like pumped out as an IP factory, where it would be you'd get something and then it would go away for a long time. And we wouldn't have Star Wars for a while.
Right.
And then it comes back and you're more excited. Like James Bond to me is kind of like that. Even though I'm not a huge James Bond guy, if you start cranking out a series and a cartoon and a movie for television, like, whatever they're going to be based, I don't even know what characters they'd be based on because James Bond is kind of like a singular
Right.
character, leads their own franchise. It's not like there's, a solidified team. But I think that cheapens the franchise. I think it cheapens the name, and I think it makes it less special. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen here and how they like what are there even plans for how do you even make spin-offs of James Bond? Like who do you spin off? There's not even like a character that I can think of that would make
M?
a good spin-off, but I know, yeah, young M. I guarantee you they're going to do that. They're
Oh,
definitely gonna
100%.
do that. But something like that where I guess they're in a spot now where they just got creative control of the franchise, and the franchise is at a place where it's about to reinvent itself, right? Because Daniel Craig's done, so they're going to cast a new Bond. They're going to kind of reboot or remake or whatever, or start fresh. So they're at a good place if they want to build. The next movie is a building block for some kind of spinoff or whatever. Great, but that makes me worry that it's gonna feel like how some Marvel movies feel like they're just a commercial for the next movie,
Yeah.
like they're gonna put everything into one film, and is it gonna be obvious that the new character is gonna get a spin-off show? Like, I don't know. The article also that I read also pointed out that, Amazon may be less picky with directors. To this day, I believe no American filmmaker has ever directed a James Bond movie, despite people like Steven Spielberg and Quentin Tarantino expressing interest in directing a James Bond movie in the past. Also, Christopher Nolan has wanted to make a Bond movie, but both Tarantino and Christopher Nolan have said they would only do it if they had full creative control. And Wilson and Broccoli were not willing to do that. Will Amazon be willing to get a Quentin Tarantino James Bond movie? Maybe more likely. I think it's stupid to not let Christopher Nolan make a James Bond movie. I think I figure out.
That was true up until 4 years ago.
Oh, what happened 4 years ago?
Kari Joji Fukunaga is a American filmmaker who did No Time to Die.
Okay.
So up until the last one, that was true. There were 2 Kiwis, 1 German, and the rest were all English.
Wow. Okay. All right. But anyway, yeah, you should definitely let Christopher Nolan do one. I get why you wouldn't maybe want Quentin Tarantino to do one, because that would be like bloody and maybe crazy. But I would love to watch that.
Oh yeah,
100%.
But
as a studio, I can see why you wouldn't. You'd rather get a Chris Nolan than a Tarantino. But like, yeah, give them creative control. Let them do it. Spielberg wanted to do one a long time ago. That's why he started. He was on vacation with. This is a famous story. Spielberg was on vacation with George Lucas, and they were sitting on a beach, and Spielberg was like, I wanted to direct a James Bond movie, but they're not going to let me direct a James Bond movie. And George Lucas said, well, screw James Bond. You don't need James Bond. I got a better idea than James Bond. And he pitched him Indiana Jones.
Right.
And they made Indiana Jones. So that was a long time ago. But hey, he's still making movies. Call up Spielberg. Does he still want to do a James Bond movie? Hell yeah.
I'd be curious. I don't know. I feel like a Spielberg James Bond movie back then versus a Spielberg James Bond movie now would be very different movies.
Would be different. Although he is working on another Alien movie. Spielberg's next movie is going to be like another Alien themed movie.
Not Alien as in Ridley Scott Alien, but as in
just like
extraterrestrial.
A movie about aliens like he has made with Close Encounters and E.T. and stuff like that. So,
also 2 wildly different movies.
But also
Bond. I will always watch a Bond movie. I never crave a Bond movie, but if one comes out, I will always watch it. Like, I still remember when GoldenEye came out and how much of a big deal it was that they were bringing back Bond, even though I didn't realize until right now that it had only been 6 years.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, Timothy Dalton's last License to Kill was 1989.
But I think that was also like looked at as a decline in quality in like the 80s.
Yeah,
Bond was
the
like
Dalton and Moore Bonds were not. Yeah. I mean, GoldenEye did birth most of my childhood video gaming.
The video game, yep.
Which I still have sitting in the room next door to me.
Oh, wow. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, James Bond's a big deal, and I think now we're going to start seeing a lot more of them. Hopefully
for better or for worse. I think mostly
hopefully
for worse.
For better, but it could be for worse. But like, I do like the idea of them taking bigger swings with the franchise.
Yeah.
And allowing a Quentin Tarantino or somebody with a radical interpretation of the character to do one, like that would be cool. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But also I get why they were, maybe playing it close to the chest most of the time, because they're protective of the franchise. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a big deal, but we'll see what happens. Moving into comics, we do have a bit of a Kickstarter call out. Steve, I haven't even told you about this, but
no, you haven't.
This is going to be a double week Kickstarter call out, because somebody reached out to me. The writer of this comic, Aaron Warblewski, reached out to me on Blue Sky and asked if we would feature his campaign on the Multiverse Report.
Absolutely.
And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. We got an episode coming up this week, but his campaign launches tomorrow. The campaign is not actually active. So next week, whenever our show is next week, as we haven't figured out yet, we're going to be doing more of an in-depth dive into this book. But right now, I can tell you that the preview page for a book called Amor, Patris from Aaron Warblewski, I know I must be saying that wrong, artist Hernam Gonzalez, and SK on letters. The campaign launches tomorrow. Amor, Patris is a horror story. The preview page for it is up now on Kickstarter. You can go to it's AMOR PATRIS, Amor Patris. You can type that into Kickstarter, go to the preview page, get notified on launch, which again is tomorrow. This is a horror story that looks
that is very apparent as soon as you pull up the Kickstarter page.
It is not joking around. The Kickstarter, this is just a preview page, is clearly just terrifying looking. That's all I can say. It's a black and white comic from what I've read. And the description is as follows. In the chilling world of Amor, Patris, the first issue thrusts the reader into a narrative of blood, death, and the terrifying unknown. Sheriff Reese arrives at the Anderson farm at what he first believes to be a routine disturbance, but something far more sinister lurks in the shadows. So this, again, it's like the fourth time I'm saying it. It's launching tomorrow, and we'll be talking about it more in depth next week. I actually got sent an advanced copy of the book,
Ooh.
which, Steve, I will share with you so we both can read it and we can do a review of the book and do it tomorrow. So, hey, Aaron, there's your call out, and you're getting another one next week. See what happens when you reach out and ask us nicely to do something and you send us a free comic? We'll give you 2 weeks of coverage, man.
There you
Come
go.
on. Creators, let us know.
No,
Kickstarter call out.
that art, like just looking at the couple of pages that they show is like, I mean, obviously Exorcist-esque, but like,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it. Is dark looking.
Yep.
And then
Dark and freaky looking.
the snippet description there that you just read had something is killing the children vibes, but I feel like darker.
For sure. Yeah.
Judging by the realism in the art as well.
Mm-hmm. It also looks like spookier, like terrifying and spooky, like however you define those two things, they're both present.
It is weird because I feel like at this juncture in comics, like you have to, like, I don't know, horror, any horror book has to have a James Tynion reference somewhere.
Yeah.
As far as like what you equate it to is like, is this deviant style? Is this something is killing the children? Is this Nice Out on the Lake? Like, what are we in for?
That's funny.
I mean, he puts so many books out. You're kind of you've got a breadth to choose from.
Absolutely. So check out Amor, Patris on Kickstarter. It launches tomorrow, February 25th. You'll hear more about it next week. But this coming Wednesday, in your local comic book store, you will find the following books: Absolute Wonder Woman #5, Batman: The Last Halloween #5, Black Canary: Best of the Best #4, Detective Comics 1094. Fantastic Four #29, Flash #18, Green Arrow #21, Green Lantern Dark #3, Harley Quinn #48, Hellhunters #3, Hello Darkness #8, Helverine #3, Iron Man #5, John Carpenter's Tales of Science Fiction Pause #1. I think the pause is a subtitle. I just read it weird. Justice League Unlimited #4, Metamorpho the Element Man #3.
Put the pause on the teleprompter. You know Mike will read anything.
Yeah. Radiant Black #31, Red Hulk #1, Rogue the Savage Land #2, Sabretooth The Dead Don't Talk #3, Star Trek Defiant #24. Steve, get excited. Star Wars Rise of Skywalker adaptation #1, Superman #23, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #7, Toxic Avenger #5, Ultimate Spider-Man #14, Ultimate X-Men #12, West Coast Avengers #4, Women of Marvel, She-Devils #1, and X-Men 12. Lots of great comics this week. My pull list includes Black Canary: Best of the Best #4, for sure. I might be checking out that John Carpenter's Tales of Science Fiction because put his name on some really cool, creepy comics in the past that I have enjoyed. And honestly, I'm kind of interested in that Rise of Skywalker adaptation and seeing.
I'm gonna at least thumb through it and see, because it's like it'll be a direct. That's what they usually do.
Right, but that I feel like the direct one is already. I've seen that out already.
Really?
Is this like a new weekly? Is it the same thing just cut up into single issues, or is it a new take on the movie? And is it going to be like, like the novelization of Rise of Skywalker, like plugs in all these holes that the movie like left open gapingly wide? Is the comic book going to like confirm things that we didn't know that the movie doesn't? I guess. Is that what I'm saying? Is the comic book going to flesh the movie out so it makes a little more sense? That's what I would be interested in seeing when I flip through it on Wednesday at Funky Town Comics and vinyl.
Nope, it's just a wholesale adaptation.
Okay, great. I'll still look at it.
I will too. Yeah, I think this This week, the technically DC Image and Marvel are tied for my poll.
On your poll? Okay, we got Absolute Wonder Woman 5.
Yep. MNT 7 and Ultimate Spider-Man.
Okay,
that's it.
Wow. That's right, because you're not doing Ultimate X-Men anymore.
No, and I'm not doing regular X-Men.
Yeah, I know. That's a big change.
Mainline?
But you also spent all of 2024 like buying and reading every X book that was on the shelves, right?
A good chunk of them in my quest for 1,000.
Or maybe that was 23 bleeding into 24.
That was it was the first half of 24.
Okay, yeah.
Because I was pulling that many, and I figured I could utilize that towards that 1,000 goal, and I was like, nah, I ain't hitting that. I'm just dropping things.
Yeah, this doesn't happen. I'm out of here. Well, I think we covered a lot in a normal amount of time, and that is all that I have to talk about. Do you have anything else, Steve?
No, I think that's it. If you would like to continue to hear crazy things that we speak about, feel free to follow us on YouTube, subscribe, and I guess receive notifications for the channel. You'd think I haven't done this for 3 years. I should know what to say.
That's all right.
But also feel free to check us out on your podcatcher of choice if you want to just hear us in your ear holes. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you could. It's much appreciated. If you really want to leave a recipe, we'll still try and find a way to eat it if it doesn't involve crazy amounts of cooking and multiple layered cookies.
Come on.
You know, I'm good.
Be sensible.
I'm good cooking, not that great baking. So
I'm okay baking, but I don't have the time for that. That's a huge thing. That's a lot going on there. And so that's it. That's it, everybody. Let us know. Follow us on the socials and hit us up if you have any questions. Things you want us to cover, things that you disagreed with us talking about. Feel free to argue with us. Watch us not respond. Be great. And until then, as the two suns set over the burnt corpses of Owen and Brew Lars, we say thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the multiverse.